myself, as requested by the media, to two topics of national importance. One, weaponizing social media for the ongoing political campaign. And two, the Tuwataha disaster and international law consequences. First, let me address the topic of weaponizing social media. Gamitin natin sa data natin social media laban dito sa mga kurap at mayayaman na politiko. Alam nyo, kung bawat isa sa inyo pumasok sa politika, yun na yun ang gusto ng ating bansa. Yun ang kabayaran ng pag-eskwela ninyo sa UP. Pero, hindi man lang kayo maka-first base. Dahil wala kayong pera eh. Samantala, ang mga walang hiya at ang mga low IQ, nakaw ng nakaw kasi wala silang konsyensya eh. They don't even understand what a conscience is. Eh, nakaw silang nakaw, kaya nandito ka, wala kang pera, you only have your idea. At dito siya, meron siyang 200, 500 million, paano ka mananalo? Pasisiraan ka ba? Maliban sa publicize yung sarili niya, sisirain ka niya, mag-invento pa sila ng kung ano ng kwento, laban sa iyo. Kaya, kung hindi tayo gumawa ng paraan, walang papasok sa ating gobyerno dahil takot. Sisirain ka eh, maaga pa. They will already indulge in mudslinging. I am going to rub their noses in the mud because mud is their natural habitat. Eh nabigla sila. Dahil akala nila, academician lang ako. Hindi yata nila kilala ang kayo. Kung gusto nilang high words, di high words. Kung gusto nilang murahan, di mumurahin ko rin sila. Ngayon, we have to weaponize. We have to invent our own weapon. And that weapon, well within our reach, is social media. The campaign period has begun. All kinds of characters want to run for public office. We, the 52 million Filipino voters, are bored with their antics. We are aghast at their resumes. Some of them are not even high school graduates. Para ka mag-police, kailangan may college graduate ka. Pero para ka mag-presidente, you don't even have to be a college graduate. Ganon, nasira at maluktot ang ating sistema. Para ka maka-eskwela sa UP, kailangan pumasa ka ng UP admission test. One of the toughest admission tests in this part of the world. Para ka maging sikat na tao, member ng Congress, at natawag na Your Honor, at naka-kotse ni driver, nakatira sa gated subdivision, ang kailangan mo lang, walang hiya ka. These candidates resort to all kinds of cheap gimmickry, hoping to provide entertainment for free. Nakita mo na, may batas tayo na there should be no premature campaigning. Campaign period begins only today. But because of a technicality, owing to certain cases on technical grounds decided by the Supreme Court, the result has been that in effect, there is no more crime of premature campaigning. But you know that the intent of the law was to provide a fair playing field to all candidates. Kaya huwag mo unahan magkampanya, dapat sabay lang kayo para pantay kayo, magiging demokrasya nga naman yon. Ay, yun ang layunin ng ating batas. Pero itong mga mayaman na kandidato, itong mga kurap na kandidato, mayaman sila dahil kurap sila eh. Walang konsyensya, walang budhi. Nag-umpisa ng magkampanya sa television. 1 minute, 60 seconds on television is 450,000 to 500,000. $500,000. 1 minute lang yun. Pero, kuha-kuha na nila magpa-advertise. Hindi ba nakakahiya yun? Parang sinasabi mo, baliwala sa akin ang batas. I have reminded them that all that is legal is moral. Wala pa rin epekto. Ngayon, therefore, dahil ganitong ginagawa nila, they should not be called candidates. They should be called clowns. In the Philippines, politics is dominated by two kinds of clowns. Rich clowns and poor clowns hoping to become rich. Fortunately, we're at the cusp of a new ominous wave of change in the political village. This wave is called the social media. In the Philippines, nobody knows how to control or manage social media. Hindi sila marunong kasi hindi sila taga-UP. Kaya pumunta ako dito, maski may sakit ako. Dahil kayo lang nakakaintindi sa akin. But now, the rich clowns are beginning to discover that it is not possible to bribe the leaders, much less all the netizens in cyberspace. That is the challenge for you. If the first EDSA revolution was the Xerox revolution, because they spread Xerox copies of their documentary, and if EDSA 2 was a text revolution, because it texted everybody, then the next revolution in this country against political corruption should be called the net revolution. We should have a revolution based on the World Wide Web. The ELUP student always gives the world a shock. Di ba ganun hanap buhay natin sa UP? A shock society. I ask each one of you to give the mindless political candidate, mindless, walang utak, a shock by Mounting TV, which used to be the king of political advertising, and instead elevating as political campaign weapons the tablet and the smartphone screens. In terms of social network use, the Philippines is ranked among the top countries of the world. This could be the precursor of the participatory democracy of the future. Facebook is the premier social media service in the world. Twitter is an online social networking and microblogging service. YouTube provides a forum for the distribution of video content, particularly eyewitness features of political protests. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are so-called Big Three social media services. These services enable large numbers of people to be easily and inexpensively contacted via a variety of services. So for the first time in the history of human civilization on this planet, a single individual now has the capacity to reach the entire population of the world. We are standing at the cusp of a new revolution in the way that we communicate with our fellow man. Social media lowers traditional socio-economic barriers to manning the spotlight. Dati para ka mabigyan ng attention, kailangan magandang mukha mo, ang katawan mo, o kaya mayaman ka, o kaya artista ka, o kaya basketball star ka. Ang mga taga-UP, hindi naman kagandahan. Saka hindi masyadong nabibihis. Kasi yung taga-UP, palaging simangot. Nag-isip siya ng mga problema ng buong mundo. Kaya hindi attractive ang personality ng UP student because you're all neurotic. You're so self-absorbed. You're studying your navel. But, ngayon, pwede nang sikat ka, even without the superficial indicia of importance. Just using your brain. Social media lowers traditional socio-economic barriers to commanding the spotlight. Pwede ka nang sikat ngayon, just use social media. The power of the rich politicians becomes more porous, and the political warlords have less control. Walang nakakaintindi. Atin lang yun. Pero natin yun, huwag mo silang turuan. Hindi nila alam kung paano nilang kontrolahin ang social media. It has been said that text messaging, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the Internet have given rise to a whole reservoir of political energy. Digital technologies enforce the formation and activities of civil society groups such as mobs, movements, and civil society organizations. So don't you ever think that you are only going to be an anonymous UP student. That is an oxymoron. That is a contradiction in terms. No UP student can ever be anonymous. The ideal UP student is not interesting per se. Alam naman natin, ang tutulong nila the best from the various provinces and regions of our country. We all know that. And even if it's not the truth, we insist. The intellectual potential of the English student. What is not interesting is the English student. What is interesting is what the ideal student does with his life after graduation from UP. Yan, makikita kung tunay na UP ka. As a rule, any UP graduate will always be characterized by academic excellence and by the courage to take social justice to the next level. If you are to serve your nation, I am here to testify that it will be a rough, contentious, and spirit-crushing journey. Ang hirap. Kung minsan maiiyak ka na lang talaga. You even begin to challenge the concept of God. But as you always do when you take your final exams. But as a true UP graduate, I insist that I have a role to perform. That role is to stand as one of gazillion bricks in the cathedral of governance. I might be a little brick, but I will hold up my own part, and the cathedral cannot exist without me. That is the importance of my mean and stupid life. No one will remember me if I suddenly drop dead tomorrow. That is the chimera that fascinates all of these politicians. Akala nila maalala sila. Nakasaysayan. Kailan naman? Mamatay sila ngayon. Next week, wala nang naalala kung anong ginawa nila. Maliban sa pambabae nila. I'm not going to get into that. Generations after you and after me, because of our advocacy, would be able to put behind them a culture of corruption and to build a new shining nation with leaders who are neither dazzled by the material world nor confused about their purpose in life. What is your purpose in life, Abel? Well, of course, to pass your exams, to become an honor graduate if possible. These are normal dreams of a normal person. But you are not normal people, you're abnormal. By definition, you're abnormal people. So you should have some loftier goal in life. There is no meaning in life, let me tell you. After reaching this age, I was at this very stage when I won as the best debater between the day class of law in UP Diliman and the evening class in law here in UP Manila. I stood on this very same platform and became the first female to win as best debater. Years and years and years that I've struggled to find out what is the meaning of life. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, there is no meaning to life. Life has no meaning. Life is just a moment of light for a little bird who flies about a cathedral. One window is open, so the bird comes from the darkness, flies into the cathedral, there is light there. The little bird flies around for a while, and then sees an open window on the other side, and then flies out back into the dark. That is human life. We don't know what we are here for. There is no answer to the question, who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I going? But you create your own meaning for the life you are leading. That is the conclusion I understand, or I believe, of an intellectual mind. You create your own meaning for your own life. What is the meaning of life for you? It cannot be fame. All UP graduates by definition are famous. Just say, I'm a UP student, or I'm a UP graduate, and everyone makes way for you. Pag wala ka na talagang masabi, sinari, tumayo, sabihin mo, UP graduate ako. Make your own meaning in life. I think the best meaning simply is we are here to help each other. That's all. It's entirely possible that our world, which is now our planet, which is now about 4.5 billion years old. That's about another 4.5 billion before we are all turned into a barbecue by the sun, because it keeps on coming nearer and nearer. So one day it will just simply burn up this planet. We have 4.5 billion years to achieve something. Bilisan nyo dahil malapit na eh. 4.5 billion. Ano bang gusto ninyo? Pera? I am telling you from my own vantage point, money cannot buy you anything. It cannot buy you happiness, it cannot buy you relationships, it cannot buy you even self-respect. Power, if you are a true intellectual, you realize that power is given to you so that you can rechannel that power into something that is positive for society. In a developing country, we call that social justice. You use your power so that you can counterbalance all the evil that is in the world. There are many, many riddles and enigmas in our life. For example, there is no proof that God exists. If you think you have seen or talked to God, what you need is not me. What you need is a good psychiatrist. There's no proof that God exists, but there is no proof that God does not exist. Another one. No one has ever solved the problem of evil. If God is all good, is omnipotent, etc., why does God allow evil? There's no answer. Maraming consuelo de bobo ang mga simbahan, pero if you really think about it, there's no answer. Why is there evil in the world? Nobody knows. Is God powerless against evil? Some people say, so that you can contrast evil with good. Bakit I need to have a contrast? Why can't I just do without the evil? So all of these arguments to an educated mind are specious. They cannot stand on their own legs. But there's evil in the world. So we have in the world the problem of evil. Yet, in the same world, we have what I shall call the problem of good. So it's the problem of evil, but we have the problem of good. For example, look at the stranger. She sees a helpless UP co-ed, absorbed in her studies, crossing the street, and she's about to be run over by a car running at high speed, and he darts in front of the car and saves her, but in doing so, loses his own life. That is the problem of good. And nobody has ever solved that problem either. So there are many, many things that you and I cannot solve, but at least it lies within our power to determine what is the purpose of our life. We have come here to the best education institution, not only the Philippines, but one of the best in the world. Such good fortune should never be dissipated by self-absorption. Ask yourself, why have you been chosen in this manner? You are destined to do something important in this world, and nothing can be more important than taking part in the life of another person, particularly one who needs your help. So that should be the meaning of life. But in any event, let us continue. I've risen from my sick bed to issue to you this challenge. For God's sake, students of the University of the Philippines in Manila, save this country. Use social media during this 3-month campaign period to ensure that our people should be led to choose deserving national leaders. That is our greatest wealth, the vote of every single individual in a democracy. And yet every 3 years, we dissipate it. We treat electoral campaigns as show business, as entertainment. We need to educate our poor people. The profile of the average voter, of the 50 million voters who have been canvassed, are as follows. Number 1, that voter is likely to be very young. Number 2, that voter will belong to the lower middle class. And number 3, that voter will only have finished, if at all, high school. That is your target market. Allow me to make some recommendations on how to weaponize social media against the corrupt, the clueless, and the clowns. Yun ang kasama ko. Kaya ako nagkasakit-sakit na. You're probably wondering how on earth I became core sponsor. That was before I became senator of the Philippines. Let me paraphrase from an article in the net issued by Craft Media Digital and written by Brian Donahue. Bullet, weaponize social media. Use social media as a weapon during the campaign by providing content that not only informs but also entertains and motivates. You cannot just provide a solid block of text to your friend on Facebook. You have to learn how to entertain that friend and how to motivate him so that he can transmit your message to other people. You need to develop skills in creative design, emotionally riveting visuals, and content that inspires action. I've always believed that the best professor in UP is not the one who scolds, not the one who humiliates the student, not the one who is a so-called terror. Yung mga terror na yung mga perverts siguro yun. But the best professor is the one, I've always told my family, the best professor is the one who can inspire the students to study on their own. You don't need to teach students. They need to read. They have IQs. They will study by themselves. So what is a professor for? A professor is there basically to inspire the student. There are so many dimensions and avenues to knowledge that he must, if necessary, make his life, devote his life around that axis, the axis of wisdom called Sophia in the Catholic Church. So, we cannot weaponize by simply issuing a statement, a newsletter, or a Facebook post. We need to enlist the work of more graphic designers, creative writers, videographers, and musicians. Bullet, weaponize social media during the campaign by embracing targeted messaging services. You cannot rely on single-issue national messaging. You have to send custom messages, or as we say in the Philippines, custom-made messages to specific audiences online. It is said that in today's digital age, data is the most precious commodity. Hook up with math students in mathematics in the Diliman campus. Ask our math scholars to build algorithms for matching data. This will develop demographic models that will help you to identify valuable voter behavior. For example, refer to Facebook Open Graph. Bullet, weaponize social media during the political campaign by delivering content so engaging that individual netizens will be motivated to share it. Kailangan nakaka-akit ka sa social media. Hindi pwedeng isang statement, wala papalit ng bansa. Hindi. You should have the power to inspire and sufficiently to inspire that the other person will be also motivated to transmit it further. I see in the current campaign that the most egregious error of the candidates is that they treat social media as if it were TV or radio, where they simply transfer information to the masses. Basta sinabi nila, tapos na sila. That's TV and radio. The strength of the web is information sharing among social netizens. And lastly, as an example, bullet, weaponize social media in a political campaign by accepting that the future of political warfare will take place online. For example, a comparative database that provides information on each candidate's age, residence, highest academic degree, and highest professional achievement would be a sufficient counterbalance to the tendency of the low middle class voter to sell his vote or to vote for his so-called cute personality. Social media should be used as a showcase for intangible movement or energy, and a medium of information to motivate people to vote for or against a political candidate.